Start off with Jaxson Dart. Guys, why is he not owned in more fantasy leagues? This kid has been nearly matchup proof. Look at the numbers. Nearly 30 fantasy points in Denver last week, and he's got the Eagles this week. He's going to be a stardom in a lot of fantasy leagues. Let's stick with the quarterbacks and Joe Flacco. He went off last Thursday night, 3 touchdowns, nearly 26 fantasy points against the Steelers. He's now scored nearly 19 points in both of his games for the Bengals. And I love the matchup this week against the Jets. And it's also, you guessed it, a revenge game. And speaking of revenge games, how about Aaron Rodgers? Now, I get it. He's 40 years old, but he's still slinging it like a man 20 years his junior. Last week, 4 touchdowns and over 20 fantasy points. Now he's got, you guessed it, the Packers. So I love Rodgers as a potential streamer with 6 teams on a bye. Speaking of streamers, how about Marcus Mariota? Jaden Daniels got hurt last week, so if he can't go, it'll be Mariota facing the Kansas City Chiefs. And while the matchup is not great, Mariota could be useful in super flex leagues. Moving on to the running backs position, and Kyle Monangai, he busted out last week in the stat sheets, 15 touches, 94 total yards, and over 17 fantasy points. He also played 31 snaps, so that's very good. And you've got to like this week's matchup against the Ravens, so Monangai could be startable as a flex. The same goes for Brashad Smith. Now, he's going to be a hot ad off the waiver wire, a very talented kid, a rookie who saw 19 touches last week. He had 5 catches and over 13 fantasy points, and he could potentially see more work in the Chiefs' offense moving forward. So even if you don't start him this week, you can pick him up and stash him. Speaking of players who you could start, how about Monangai? He's been unbelievable for the Lightning Bolts over the last 2 weeks. 17 targets, 14 catches, and last week he had 164 yards and a touchdown, scoring nearly 26 fantasy points. So I think he could have an issue with consistency because the Chargers passing game is loaded with weapons, but suddenly Monangai is worth a look off the waiver wire. And then finally, Colston Loveland. Maybe it's his time to shine. Now, his numbers were not great last week against the Saints, but Cole Kmet got hurt, and that led the rookie to play 46 snaps. And if Kmet can't play this week against Baltimore, suddenly Loveland could have some value, and the Ravens defense has not been good. So keep tabs on Cole Kmet and pick up Colston Loveland.